Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
Oh my God.
Welcome
What
to
is-
the future.
Oh, I had this with Discord today. I did some one-to-ones and just like, because I've got like 6 different audio devices on my computer scattered across it somehow. I'm like, oh, for the love of God.
It's one of these.
Yeah.
I'll just sign. We don't need to talk. I'll just paint for you and you can, yeah.
And then you were like, oh, we'll just leave. I was like, apparently I can only kick you all out. I can't
Yeah,
just
yeah.
leave.
All right. See you later. Bye.
That's how parties work in Ireland.
Yeah, we
Soon
never
as-
saw
soon as-
him again.
Yes.
Mega. Love it.
Hello, guys. Welcome back to a very special episode of the Mediocre Hobbies podcast, where me and Mr. Tom Landy are joined by a very special guest, none other than Mr. Peachy himself. So we're very much looking forward to asking him all of the hard questions that he hasn't been asked before and trying to get a bit of extra information out there in the cosmos for you guys. So stick around and very much enjoy this episode. It was a hard day when it got stripped away from you, doesn't it?
Yeah, I had to hand him my spray badge, my spray gun and my badge. It was just like, oh, here's my badge and my gun. I'm out.
Yeah. They asked for my badge. I just said I didn't bring it in today and I kept it.
Yeah, I've kept badges
smooth.
for everywhere I've worked.
That's genius. Yeah.
Gotta keep the badge, man. It's you gotta keep it.
Yeah, I've got 2, so they were fine with me keeping one because the guy, he's left now, a security guy called Ben Goodman, he was like, I don't give a shit.
You got fired because you didn't take your badge.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, well, we know now. Truth out there.
Yeah, it's all my doing. No, he's top bloke. I mean, where can I go? It's all turned off, so I've had all my access denied. But I suppose I could look really, if I was a confidence trickster, I could get
Yeah,
away.
you walk in with a badge and things. Yeah, they took me back. It didn't work out as well. I wanted to buy all this stuff here, but I'm going to use it for the studio. So I'm going to carry. I'll send you an email to sort it all out. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. My house is just full of the dead man's order of just a million boxes. So yeah, the wife.
How bad was your dead man's order?
What was it? Warcry, Necromunda,
Yeah.
a lot of kill team stuff. Just got. And then there's like things after. I was like, damn, I wish I got that like Dungeon Bowl. I wish I got Dungeon Bowl because the cards for that are great and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's one of those ones that's not going to be around for very long. So once it's gone, it's going to be like hen's teeth trying to get those cards.
Yeah. So
absolute nightmare. Were you like me when you did your dead man's order? Were you like, right, it's no longer just about buying things that I want, it's about things that I need for the channel going forward. Like, this is good. Yeah. And you're like, that's good content, and that's going to be good content. And
yeah. and then so I got like loads of stuff thinking these would be great, and then Pat was like, oh, the algorithm's just going against that, so we're just going to go for this. I was like, cool.
Oh, that tricksy algorithm.
So I was like, as long as I've got Space Marines, I guess. I mean, they're always a win.
Yes.
But yeah, sure.
Ever feeling bad, just paint up an Assault Intercessor in a random chapter color and put it on the internet. It does great.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's the Suggs touch or what, but if you can paint a Rainbow Warrior and do well and get like nearly 200k, then or even just talk about them. She didn't even paint it. She just talked about it.
No, she didn't. She was like, these are Rainbow Warriors. They're all great. They're great. You want to see me paint them? Become a patron.
Gotta pay. Paywall, yeah. I mean, technically we have a paywall, but you get the stuff early. That's really what it is.
Yeah. We all got a paywall. I do an extra video a week for my patrons, so
I don't. Yeah. I don't do anything. I'm just here I just bullied Andy into doing a podcast. So
you're just a techno guy,
Smart.
Like, we had a conversation earlier on, and Andy's like, "Oh, any plans for the weekend?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to try and buy something tomorrow." And he was like, "Why did I not just send you stuff?"
I'm going to send you stuff for free,
just because he's an ass.
Sense.
I know, right?
So. No.
Genius.
I was like, yeah, they will just send it to me, but they'll put a bill on top of it as well. And I was like, oh, is that how that works? That's unfortunate for you.
I'm going to end the call for everyone now.
Yeah.
All right, cool, wicked.
So how are you, sir? How's your day? You doing okay?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I did 2 1-to-1s like back to back.
Nice.
Had one of the tiers is feedback, so people send me a picture of the model, and I try and be as nice but brutal, if that makes sense. Cunning and brutal, maybe. I'm channeling my Gamorca. Yeah, so that's just been not full on, and then straight on to doing this. We've done 2 streams this week as well, which was good. So
I caught one of them. That was good.
Yeah, not done it for ages. It's weird because Workshop used to do it all the time, and now it's just like once a week on a Friday, and it's kind of just regurgitating the community stuff. So
yeah, it is a bit weird. I don't understand. Like, I thought the numbers were pretty good on the Warhammer community side of it when they were doing it.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool thing to chill and paint with. But
Pre-lockdown, I think we were lucky to get like 200 viewers at a time, and then during lockdown we were like hitting 2,000 just for a normal hangout and hobby, which was mad. But obviously people, were at home doing nothing, so it makes sense. And then I say post COVID, but post being stuck in lockdown, it was like 400-500, so it was still better.
Good,
but then it's just gone down again because, well, I suppose
it's just only hands thing kicking in, I guess. Maybe you don't want to see people's face, maybe doing it in balaclavas and stuff. Maybe
that's it. I can't help but think me and Duncan have been the nail in the coffin for that, but oh well.
I think so.
I mean, I think that's corporate decisions that people rebelled against. That's why you guys aren't there anymore. Like if it's the same with well, you go right back to when Warhammer Community started. I won't mention his name, but there was always that push against what was wanted for the public versus what the company wanted to do. And as that outgrew the presenter or the not just the hands, it just became this thing that didn't make sense. I actually listened to, I've done my homework this week, so I'm watching lots of painting fairs. And
cool.
I mean, I've watched it before, but I wasn't talking to you then. And so there's like a lot of you can double. Do you get cash for double views? I hope so. But like, it's one of those things where like you've been. I think from everyone who's left, you've been one of the most vocal about your personal opinion. It's been 90%, I would say, positive or at least neutral. But it was really interesting to kind of hear the the kind of limitations that you had within what you were trying to do. There was that one bit where he was doing bat report video and editing and stuff, and it's like, well, he wasn't even doing his job, he was just doing one part of that job, and he felt like he was taken on to do something that he couldn't do. And inside the corporate structure, he was like, guys, I've run out of space on my hard drive, and they were like, cool, we'll get back to you in 2 weeks. And it's like, how do I get a deadline with? And I'm kind of like, I want to ask you questions about what it's like now that you're working to somebody else's signing the ticket, and how you enjoy being, because you were with Workshop for what, 20 years?
It's pretty. I thought it was 21, but I think it's closer to 20. It's around that, so a long time. 2 decades.
How does it feel being self-employed or working for a company that's so small in comparison?
Great, liberating. It's mad. I wish I'd done it earlier, if I'm honest. I was a bit sort of in the army painting team when Duncan left to go and do YouTube videos. Both me and my friend Steve were like, well, mate, I don't know if that's going to work. I mean, how are you going to make money from that? And when we've been there when the big redundancies have happened, and we're like, well, your department will be the first to go because you don't I mean, we technically don't make money, but it's part of the publication thing. They need the armies to look cool in the books. So we're like, how's that going to work? And we were a bit sort of like nervous for him, and then it just went well, and he did really well, and I was like, oh, cool. That's going good job. And then I got a bit sick and tired of like managing several different departments, and like 7 departments of photographers that I couldn't actually manage, but like just keep an eye on, and then have no budget, and then just like try and fix problems. It was like, this is great, I hate this. And then the job came up for a presenter. I was like, well, I like painting and I miss it, because that's the thing for me. I like to do stuff and be creative. So management was sort of like not doing as much of that. And then I got to do that, and I got to see a bit more of the impact of what that did. And now that I'm working with Pat, I know you can make money from doing YouTube videos, and YouTube has ads and stuff which go on the videos, and you can make revenue from it. But there's none of that nonsense of, like, for instance, I've probably mentioned it before on the channel. During lockdown, we did it was getting a bit boring. It was the same content of just 4 guys sat chatting about hobby, which is cool. Some people enjoyed it, but I want to do some gaming. We weren't allowed to do some gaming because social distancing and all that. So I was like, I've got an idea. I'm going to start. I got like an old cardboard box, sprayed it, put a load of my Warcry scenery in it, and just did like a sort of over the shoulder isometric view of Warcry, and then just used the Warcry rules. But the measuring thing was a bit tricky. I'd have to measure for them, and kind of did like a choose your own adventure thing. And I did that over a couple of weeks, and that went down really well. And we did a Necromunda one later on, and the bosses were like, oh yeah, keep that going. They seem to be quite popular, and they were doing all right. Then Warhammer Plus happened, and they're like, you've got to stop doing that now because it's going to compete with Warhammer Plus. And I'm like, what? How can how can my webcam and a cardboard box compete with a 40 grand studio and like
it's quality, not quantity.
And yeah, there was just like weird decisions like that. I was like, yeah, but it's not anything like it's not competing, it's just a bit of fun. It's narrative based as opposed to tournament based. And then I had ideas for like doing painting guides and stuff, and they're like, no, that's not what we do, you just do battle ready and stuff. So having all these blockades of creativity, you're just like, oh cool, all right. I mean, I've been here for years and I know what works and what doesn't work. And a great example with Pat, because he's pretty open, he's got loads of ideas on how he wants to do stuff. When the Shadow Vault box set for Kill Team came out, the one with the Kazakin in it, I was like, that's going to do really well because it's got Kazakin in it.
Yeah,
and 100%. I think we should paint the Kazakin as the Inquisitorial Stormtroopers because everyone else is going to do the standard Kazakin scheme. We did a poll. Pat was like, no, I don't know, the box covers will probably do quite. I was like, no, they won't. People like the black and red from the old days, trust me. And we did a poll on YouTube and Patreon, and it was like unanimous. It was like black and red, Inquisitorial, do that. We did it. It was a really popular video, but the forecasters didn't think that Shadow Vault would do that well, so they didn't make many. So I was like, great.
That is one of those things that is happening now with me, with the like they send you the box set and you do a bunch of work on it beforehand and you put out your video on Saturday morning, and by the time people are watching it, it's sold out and they can't buy it. You're like, yeah,
it's mad. But Pat listened. Pat listened. He was like, well, I trust you. You obviously, been around a lot, so yeah, we'll do that then. We'll see how it goes. And it panned out to be, even though people couldn't get hold of it, a useful video. So.
Yeah, as soon as they came out separately, they could get their hands on it and do their own thing and stuff and make that work. And
that's the real long tail in this hobby. It's like Games Workshop, yes, it sells out, but it is going to be back on the shelf in a few weeks. And I remember being on the bus in South London, I don't know where I was going, but I was watching Duncan paint a Bloodthirster. And that video, that's very early on in him on Warhammer, but that for me is like, if I ever had a Bloodthirster to paint, I'm going to go straight back and watch that video.
Yeah.
Because it's evergreen, right? It's like those Stormtroopers will be evergreen, and there's no reason why you can't go back and do the box art or do 3 or 4 different Stormtrooper paint guides. And that, I think that's the advantage of being in this particular field, is that, like, for us in particular as well, you're Chris Peach, right? So people know you. If someone just Googles you, they might see this video at some point, and that's the joy of the hobby generally, I think, for anyone who's producing content in it.
Yeah, I mean, chances are they're going to find the financial guru, Chris Peach. I always come across him too.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at keywords. Don't you worry.
Not the same guy. I thought you were the same.
Yeah, he's like super attractive, very American, very white teeth. I'm just like, yeah, you're everything I'm not.
One trip to Turkey, it'll fix all that, don't worry. So one of the things I wanted to ask you was about the idea of the painting phase, because obviously now there has been quite a few people from head office who have left to create and do their own thing. You're the first person that has joined somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
Was that always in your head when you like originally thought about it, or did you think about doing it by yourself at any point? Or
yeah, absolutely. So probably a couple of months into Warhammer Plus being worked on in the background, it was very evident. I certainly felt like I was like a fifth wheel in that department, because I mean, and granted, Warhammer Plus would make money. The concept behind it, I think some things were poorly executed in the long run, but the ideas they had were great and it made a lot of sense. But I was like, oh, you're the Warhammer YouTube team, you're not part of Warhammer Plus anymore. And then whenever you're trying to do videos, they'd often take the equipment away, because it was important, and I kind of understood at the same time, but it does have a knock-on effect to your morale. You're just like, oh, okay, so yeah, I'm the annoying little cousin in the corner that just, cool, all right, yeah. So
you mentioned today on one of the shows I was rewatching about everyone else in the office was invited to a meeting. You weren't, and it was like you wrote these little funny thing on stickies and stuck it in everyone's chair, and it's like, why was everyone else in the office invited to a meeting? Like, that can't be good for you or your morale or your.
No, I mean, it's not like it wasn't even the FOMO thing, because I there's so many meetings that happen across the business that I'm not invited to, but I have opinions and I've got experience, and whether or not I'm actually working with that team, I could probably help. And that was a little bit of a sort of like, oh, I guess whatever I say is probably not important, so that's fine. So I just thought, take it on the shoulder and just put Peachy bum time and sit on everyone's chair and then put a post-it note around there, just have a bit of fun. There's one other guy in the studio who was he does a lot of the like product briefs that get sent out across the business. His name's Ed, lovely guy. So he was sat there and we were chatting a bit, but yeah, all the actual grafters of the department were all gone in this meeting. But that was a couple of months in, and I was starting to get these vibes that should I be looking for another job? Because I've done because I was doing like most weeks I would be doing 2 to 3 videos a week, and I'd have like the editor filming and editing at the same time, and I can knock out videos quite quickly. And we can also do big ones which take a bit longer, but like the single miniature and stuff we can knock loads out. And I've done so many scripts, and I think we did 6 videos in the space of like 5 months, 6 months, something like that. So it was like 1 a month. It was just rubbish. So I started making plans for myself to start doing my own stuff. So I got a little tripod, got my little like camera phone, started like working on making footage, doing like edits, using, because I haven't got all the equipment. I've never really edited, so there was a lot of YouTube research, but there was a really good editing software app that I was using that I could put music on and voiceovers. But at the time I was like, I can't voice over it because it's my voice. They might know if I put these out now. So I'll just start messing around and try and get used to the equipment and stuff. And Pat had gone, Hattie had gone. And that was a dream that would be like me, Hattie and Suggs do a thing. Hattie's an editor, Suggs is a great presenter, so like that'd be quite good. I was like, I'd learn editing, I would give that a go so we can deal with the workload. Hattie knows about cameras. I started learning how to use the cameras as well. That's another story in a minute, which was quite funny. So I'd been thinking about this for a long time, and then Pat comes along and goes, he just random message one night going, oh, I've started a YouTube channel. Well, I'm thinking of starting a YouTube channel. This is the name. This is like the logo I've got. Here's a test video. I was like, this guy's got it nailed. I love the way he just does his videography. It's so good. And I was like,
a videographer, so it's a good start.
Yeah. And I was so jealous just looking at stuff going, oh, that's life goals. And this thing with Hattie and Louise fell through, which was expected because it was all very much a pie in the sky idea. And then he just approached me one day. He was like, do you want to come and work with me? I was like, yes. There was not even like, I'll tell the wife and have a chat with the wife and show her the stuff, but I think she knows I'm ready to go, and this will be Pat, you've got me. And I once I'd said yes, I'll do it, and I confirmed like a date. I went to my boss and just went, I'm handing my notice in about 6 weeks time. And he was like, oh, okay. I was like, I'm giving you notice on my notice, so if there's any videos you don't want me in, now is the time, because there was like a battle report with Simon where I was using my eventually enables. I was like, I'd understand if you don't want me in that. I totally get it. There was loads of other promotional stuff that was going off. I was like, I totally understand if you don't want me in it. I get it, but I want to give you notice so you can prepare for it. And at that point as well, we had some new guys that had turned up, so I was training them and trying to give them chance to do stuff with them to get them into whatever role. So I thought I was being helpful by giving them notice, because I only had a month's notice. Originally I thought I had 3, but apparently it was just 1 month. So I was like, well, give you a bit of time to
actually have a funny add-on to that exact story, so about a month before you left. So in my head I was like, he must have handed in a notice by this time. I got contacted by Mr. X inside a Games Workshop, who runs the department. We had a conversation, and he was like, saw what you're doing. I saw what you're doing on the YouTube channel. It's really cool. I like your style. I like what you're doing. And he offered me a job.
And
I was like,
they needed a beardy bald guy.
That's what I'm saying. I'm telling you. And I was like, no, I'm gonna keep doing my own thing. And there was conversations about perhaps doing some stuff like outside of it and being like but anyway, it kind of never came to fruition, whatever way they decided to do it.
Oh, that's a shame. Yeah.
But like it got to like 3 or 4 weeks later, and then it was like your video of you leaving. And I was like, I think I was trying to be hired to be your replacement. And
that surprised me. Oh, that's mad.
That would have been quite an interesting thing. Like, but if that was true,
interesting. Yeah, the learning photography was quite funny, because they decided we'd need some more presenters. And I'd already had conversation with the manager at this point. This is like way before I left, airing my views. They're like, don't worry, we're going to put more effort into Warhammer TV, into the YouTube videos. I was like, okay, we're going to hire a new presenter. I was like, cool. We did like some interviews and stuff, and they were like, we're going to hire 3. I was like, are you going to get any more editors and videographers? Like, no, we don't need to. I was like, you kind of do. Do we have any more space? I mean, there was like, it was a great idea. I totally got it. And they're lovely people. But it kind of benefited me in the end because there was obviously this nervousness because I also teach me how to do editing or teach me how to do videography, and I can help Joe out. And like, oh no, we can't do that. And I think there was that fear of me learning these skills and going off. I'm never going to be a great photographer. I'm never going to be a great editor, so I'm not going to go off and do that. But it was just through necessity in the end. Me and Joe just went, I'm not asking for permission. We're just going to do it. I was like, show me how to use the cameras. And whilst you're editing, I can be filming. But it was really useful from my point of view because when they were doing their presenting, I was able to instantly review it and just go, you sure you want to go with that take?
Yeah, you kind of accidentally would have ended up managing that team had you stayed in that position.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that I think that's what they'll egging to do. And it wasn't until I handed them a notice and they're like, oh, we're looking at doing army painting and we're going to make you a manager and this, that, and the other. So I don't want to be a manager. And it's funny that you only want to do army painting now that the notice has been handed in. That's interesting. So I'd already had my run checked out. Yeah, absolutely. And I said to the guys in charge at that time, because the management had changed quite a bit anyway at that time, I was like, it's nothing against you lot, it's just personal. I've just run my course. I totally get why you do what you do because it's a marketing department and you market the products. That makes sense. It's just I'm not finding any value in what I do anymore. There's no drive for me. I just don't want to become that guy that gets really bitter. So whilst I still have the positivity, I might as well head off and do my own thing. I mean, I have opinions and there are people there that annoy me and decisions that are made that are just mental. But most of the people that work at Games Workshop, 99% of them, I love because I've been around them for years and they're great people. Just sometimes lions are led by donkeys. Just the way it is. I mean, I've been a donkey a few times and I've been a manager. When I was doing retail training, I was an idiot. Unlearned all the things I was when I was a full-timer. So we used to have a training store. So it was like a veteran sergeant store, and you get staff coming in that were squad leaders, learn to be managers, and you're just like, oh, here we go again. And then I went to do that, and I was like, oh, I've become that guy, haven't I? I've done it. I'm an idiot. So yeah,
no, it was always a rough retail experience. I worked in Games Workshop from 2009 to about 2012, 2013. I worked in Dublin, then I ran Eastbourne and then Brighton.
Oh wow, yeah.
It was you were always just given the wrong, you wanted somebody who could sell, but in order to get somebody into the hobby, they had to be a geek. And so there was always that real difficulty of, you really had to get someone like yourself, like Andy, who's actually at their core a good manager, who will come in and do the grunt work to work their way up. But it was 1 in 50 from the people that I met who should have been there, and the rest were good, but were kind of just serving their time before they went on.
Yeah, I mean, when we did recruitment days for retail, you'd get so many customers coming in, and there was one Friday we had about 50 applicants, and there was not one that was relevant for the job, and that is so hard because it's a niche hobby. Trying to get someone that's got the mindset for running a shop or being even just a staff member to run intros was hard because it's a hobby that generates and encompasses all sorts of folks with different ways of dealing with the world, and it's quite a niche hobby, so you are going to be very reclusive. A lot of them are. So I mean, I was for a long time doing the videos was out of my comfort zone.
I think you took to it like a duck in water though, buddy. You were good.
It took a while. I mean, what didn't help was I was I had a newborn at the time. So that two things you should never do is start a new job that you have no skill set in, and whilst having a newborn. Terrible idea, because I was not getting much sleep, and then coming in going, welcome to this video. I'm really excited about this video. Roger had this what was called a model lamp, and it was brighter than the sun, and because it was summertime-ish. And that had happened when I first turned up. I was full of hay fever, and I was streaming on the way in on my ride in. And and there's this bright lamp. I'm just streaming with tears. I'm I can't see. So most of those videos look like I've been crying. And then to spend 2 years painting like that to a camera,
absolutely. And that room is tiny as well, wasn't it? The space you actually had to work in.
Absolutely small. Yeah, it was cramped. is a word. But we worked through it and we had fun. It was great.
Yeah, good videos.
Yeah. I mean, I've got some really proud ones. I've got some I hate, but you know, it was a great team, and I do miss working with the Rhodes. Hopefully, sometime down the line we can join together. He did offer me a job as well, to be fair.
That's what I wanted to know. I'm dying to know that. Like, if you, in my head, when you did your video, like, I'm leaving and I'm joining something. If you put a poll out, everyone would have been like, he's going to join Duncan.
Yeah,
like,
I'm pretty sure.
Duo is back together. Like,
yeah. So I think Pat was worried because at the same time, Roger and Duncan asked to meet up, and I knew what it was going to be about. And Pat was like, "Oh, that's my golden ticket gone then." And I met up, and you know, they're great. I'll always have fond memories of working with them. And we had drifted apart a bit just because of like me being at workshop and him just being full on doing his videos and stuff. And this like, want to offer you a job, we're going to the next phase, want to do like scenery, more unit based stuff. And I was like, if Pat hadn't approached me, I would have done it.
Yeah,
but it sounds really weird. There's no offense against like Duncan's presenting, Roger's editing, but I wanted to try something for myself. Because I've moved from Warhammer TV, which was pretty much the style was generated by Roger and Duncan anyway. And I got ideas of what I wanted to do, to go to another group of people that would probably want to do their own thing anyway. I mean, it's their business, and I'd be an employee, so I'd be like, oh, I've got ideas, and I'd have to really, really like pitch it really well to get it through. Whereas Pat was just like, I want you to lead the painting, and I'll just do the videography. And as time's gone on, he's understood painting a bit more. He has like some really good observations. And they could be better. Each video we do could be better. I could have said stuff differently, but I've been able to make my stamp on what I want to do. And arguments can be made. They're quite low quality paint jobs in the videos, but it's about accessibility. That's the difference. I could do higher end ones if I wanted to, and I do the extra steps in those videos, but I don't go too mad, because it's that in my head, like 90% of our customer base can't paint to Richard Gray's level or Darren Latham's level. I want to try and help people. I see myself as the first rung on the ladder. Duncan's like much higher than that, and like so many other painters out there are so far up the ladder itself.
I think one thing as well that's really obvious when you tell that story is that you joined the painting phase. You joined as a person. You didn't join Duncan Rhodes' company. You weren't going to just be Chris Peach at Duncan Rhodes. You were going to be, you know, one of a name with a brand, you know. And it doesn't matter, even if Duncan retired and you took over and did all the videos, it's still Duncan Rhodes. And it gives you something else to buy into when you've got something that you can really own and really develop yourself.
No, agreed. And I've always been a bit uncomfortable about like because a few people said like marketing experts that were like people I know on Twitter and stuff, like you should rebrand it to like the Peachy phase or the Peachy tips. So I was like, it's not my company. And secondly, people might be more put off if I know it's me. It's like, oh, it's him. No, watching the painted face. That's great. I
thought we were rid of that guy. Okay.
Because I actually got like, it's so weird because people have watched the painted face for Pat's videography because they've seen it, and that was like what we call Greg, the cursed kit bash where he painted that horrible space marine with the super glued transfer still on the backing sheet. And a lot of people joined because of Pat's videography and some of the chats they used to do previously. And then they'll be like, oh, I didn't know you got Peachy on. I hate that guy. And they'll be like, but his videos are all right. He seems a bit more chilled out now. He's left Games Workshop. Oh, actually, he's all right.
I'll stick around.
I've got this theory of primarily Warhammer YouTubers, where you kind of go from one end, which is very much Pete the Wargamer, where he shows you in detail how to build the model, paint the model, models done, right the way up to Squidmar, which is basically just entertainment, right? No one's building a diorama with 2 Warlord Titans.
No.
You know, like it's not even aspirational at that point. It is just entertainment. I think your videos are much more entertainment rather than practical, because you're engaging, you're having that conversation, and there is also how to paint the model, but it feels more story driven. I guess the Paint and Face channel has so many, you know, sitting around the table having a chat as well. Like it's such a big part of the brand. It's so much less. You can just have it on the background. You don't need to pay attention. You can just listen and watch and listen. And I'm one of like 6 people in the world who pay for YouTube Premium. So like I will do an awful lot of my like YouTube watching with the phone in my back pocket, walking the dog, or as you know, I've got a new baby, so like I wear it in like a strap. So like we walk around the town, and I'll just be listening to like these things, and it's really interesting to see that like spectrum of where does somebody fall in. Do you think you're in the right part of that spectrum? Do you want to be more entertainment or more practical, or do you care as long as it works?
Yeah, I don't. It's weird. I don't actually, as long as people enjoy the content. And I think down the line, like I was saying to Pat, we've got plans for all sorts of stuff we want to do. I think we will definitely have, whether that'll be separate channels or within like the channel, separate sort of playlists and stuff. But we definitely want to focus and keep to the chat shows. We want to do the practical painting. We want to go into battle reports as well, but not to the level that, because there's so many like very clever people out there that do battle reports. The way Games Night do theirs, that's kind of where our heads were at for doing battle reports, was just narrative and a bit of fun. We've had a bit of a dabble. What we should have done was said it was a pilot and not say it's part 1 of 4 parts and never get around to doing the other 3 yet.
I did like part 1 of the Necromunda game.
Oh, good. I mean, I learned and again, sometimes the comments can be really dicky, but that this time around everyone was just super helpful. Oh, did you know this rule is this? Because I'd spent like weeks and weeks like swatting up on the rules and playing a couple of test games and stuff, and even on the day I just forgot stuff, and like the blaze rule just gave me so much anxiety. Whenever I read the blaze rule, I'm just like, I have no idea what's going on with this. Scares me every time I read it. But then there's a group called Sump City Radio, and they contact me, went on their show, and they're doing like Sump Common October time, and they're just like really helpful, and they just go, there's this app you can use and this thing. No one cares really, as long as you're having fun. But I think from a like, it's weird because I want it to be educational and useful, but also the story thing does seem to be quite popular. But then the chats are just generally it's like the one in my head. I'm like, I just want to go down the route of the one show, but for hobby, where we just get like big guests on of all manner of shapes and sizes. I mean, you guys are totally welcome to come on as well, because I mean that's we want to do it in person. That's the problem with like a lot of the shows, is we want it personal and in the room, and it's the practicality. So the next time you guys are ever like towards Nottingham or whatever, you know, we'll align with you guys and get on the show.
I'm moving to Hastings in 6 weeks. My wife's from Hastings, so
right,
we're
cool.
moving back.
Yeah,
and Andy's in Dublin. He can fly over. He'll be there in 20 minutes. And
I'm
not important. It's his channel.
I would be very keen to. If I'd fly over in the morning, go back in the evening, and do the podcast, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Yeah, but Broadsword Wargame was saying like, it's like 15 quid on the plane. I was like, what? It's £30 from Derby on the train.
The flight takes 40 minutes to get from Dublin to Nottingham. 40 minutes, quicker than most people's bus or train journeys to Nottingham.
my bike drive, and I'm filtering, takes 40 minutes to Pat's. And that's like, so that's halfway between Derby and Nottingham, so that is mental.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mediocre Hobbies podcast, where we had a very special guest on. We had an absolutely amazing time talking to him, so much so that we went over time by like an hour and a half. So we are more than likely going to chop this episode up and make it multiple episodes for you guys, because he said so many amazing things. We don't want to cut anything out and leave it on the editor floor. So I'm sure Mr. Thomas will make some very good headways and edit that to make 2 beautiful episodes, we're thinking.
I'm red already just thinking about the amount of work.
Yeah.
You would have killed you to be nice to him once, Andy.
It was hard to. It was like looking in the mirror, and I don't like myself. So, so yes, I hope you guys very much enjoyed this episode, and you're looking forward to next week's one with part 2 of this podcast.
Bye.